Greetings, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. This is one of those topics that's a very difficult topic to talk about. You know, any YouTube channel can talk about crystal openings or can show you who to rank up. And I'm not saying that those videos don't have value, but I think that the more people that produce them, the more stale the content becomes. And so my job every day is to think of subjects that are not always safe, but are important to think about and talk about and not be afraid to take them on. Because I would like to think, and for those of you that responded to comments, whether they were positive or negative about my message to the haters, because I want the haters of my channel to have their own channels and to succeed and to be the motivation to help people be a voice in the community. And if you don't like my voice and you don't like that I can't be silenced, then just make a better channel and I will support it. Even if you hate my guts and you don't want my support, I will support it quietly to encourage you in any way I can. Because that is not only who I am, but also when I think the community is at its best. When you have a variety of voices, both positive and maybe even critical. You know, you need the whole marketplace of ideas. With that being said, a couple years ago, I made a video after I had been kicked from my alliance. And it was a nightmare scenario. I was the weak link in the alliance. There's no question that they could find somebody who was better at alliance war than I was. Was I holding us back? Maybe. And I don't blame them for wanting to replace me. I also was doing the arena all day and doing YouTube videos, and I wasn't paying attention back when you really needed to coordinate with your alliance mates when to move and take out linked nodes. And Kabam's done a really good job over the past several years of removing the need to be on the same communication link with the same time as people, because we have so many alliances who have a global alliance. So it's hard to communicate when to move with somebody who's 9 hours ahead of you. So that used to be the biggest problem with alliances. There were so many people who wanted to be in good alliances, but those spots were so important. And so I would do a video, and maybe I should still do a follow-up because it's been several years since I've talked about it, on when you should leave your alliance. And if you'd like me to do a video in depth in that, please let me know in the comments of this video. But today's video is talking about how the community is not nearly as big as it used to be. And so finding the right people to fill your alliance that aren't going to leave or that aren't going to ghost you or that aren't going to be jerks has never been harder. It has never been harder to find good people. And I get requests every time. Prof, every time I make a video, they're like, Prof, will you join my alliance? And I don't want this to feel like I'm making this video because I'm unhappy. Now, I will be honest. I'm in an alliance that I wish contributed more to Battlegrounds points. And maybe it will by the end. We have quite a few people. This is a difficult time. It's almost November. It's almost the month of American Thanksgiving. It's around the holidays. People have commitments with family. They have commitments with spouses. They have, quote-unquote, real-life stuff that happens. Maybe they have an illness. Maybe they're ill. I've had several people in my alliance who haven't been on lately because they've been sick. If somebody has to sleep for 8 hours because they've got an illness, you don't want them to feel guilty for not opening the app. That sounds like a job. And it's funny I say that because the biggest complaint about this game that I've heard from people is, Prof, I stopped playing it because I realized it just became a second job. Everything about it, from moving an alliance quest to doing Battlegrounds, and I realized I wasn't having fun anymore. And there have been times where I haven't had any fun playing this game. And I do it because I love this community and because I love having a YouTube channel, and it gives me a purpose outside of teaching. And I only teach for 7.5 months a year. And so I was very depressed and very lonely and very purposeless when I wasn't playing this game outside of teaching for years. And I've been very open about my own mental health struggles on this channel because I have a chance to go kind of manic when I don't have something to do. Because I come from a family history of bipolar schizophrenia. I'm not saying I'm bipolar schizophrenic, but when I don't have a purpose, I go into a dark place because I feel like I'm alone. And so this community gives me a reason to connect with people that I've never met and people who appreciate me. And even the haters, I think it's better to have haters than no haters, because if you have haters, it means that you've done something to catch their attention. And if you haven't done anything worth anything, then nobody's going to notice. And so I'm not saying that to people who don't have a YouTube channel, that you're not doing anything to be noticed, because I'm sure you're doing some great things. But for my own personal mental health, it's ironic. You'd think that the haters would have made me stop recording videos, but instead they just made me think, oh, I must actually be making a difference if people are talking about me. And I'm not saying all conversation is good conversation, though there's the old PR saying that all news is good news. I do think that I'm happy overall with my alliance. I'm happy with the people I get to jump an alliance quest with. I'm happy that it's map 6. I'm happy that I don't do alliance war. And I'm happy that Battlegrounds is encouraged but not required to the point that it makes me feel like a job, like some people's alliances do feel if you don't make all the bonus reward milestones of the solo and alliance events this month. But how do we find good people? I mean, it's harder. And Kabam is cracked down. Let's also talk about the elephant in the room. Kabam's cracked down on cheating. And some people have played this game because they run 50 alt accounts. And now suddenly those accounts don't mean nearly as much when they're gifting, because they're not allowing people to gift unless you talk about those rare holidays in which they still utilize the alt accounts. And we saw Kabam recently took action against those accounts, which consequently makes those people not want to play more or spend more. And so when the community starts to die and people either don't spend as much money, and I have not spent nearly as much money as I usually do in the past several weeks and even months. I used to buy at least one early access bundle. I can't tell you the last time that I bought an early access bundle unless somebody sponsored it, because I just don't want to justify that. And honestly, if you're going to spend that money now, it's way smarter to buy Tier 2 Primordial Dust, and I do think that needs to be my next video as I think of it. But, the bottom line is it's never been harder to recruit people in this game. And so it's becoming a challenge for my alliance and for others to just stay alive. And I've known alliances that disbanded recently that have been around for longer than I played the game. And it's really a sad moment. It feels like a death in your soul when an alliance that you literally held onto with your heart and soul and used it as part of your identity is dead. And suddenly it's sort of like getting divorced. And I haven't been divorced before, thank God, but I know plenty of people who have, and they describe to me like they thought they were going to be in this family unit forever, and then suddenly they have to start over. And that can be exciting in a way, because maybe you'll find people that treated you better than you were ever treated before, and you didn't realize that you were settling. But it can also be scary because you're going out and you're starting relationships over, and you don't have the inside jokes and the friendships. And like, there are some things in line chat that I could never put in a YouTube video because it is like a locker room. And sometimes it makes me very uncomfortable. And there have been a couple of line chats I've had to leave because they started sharing adult content. And that adult content was making me very uncomfortable. And I was saying, look, y'all, if a student comes by and I've got my phone on and I'm opening a message app and they see something on my phone, that could be an ethical issue. And it's not even something that I want to see. It's just appearing in a line chat. So that's also one of those things that, like, if you have to leave a line chat, if you don't want to be the person that ruins everybody else's fun but you're uncomfortable, I had to say in the chat, hey, y'all, I don't want to be somebody who feels like I'm a dad and you can't share the things you want to share, but it just makes me uncomfortable and I need to remove myself. And the cool thing is, if you do it in a respectful way, I think most people understand. Yeah, they might be like, what a prude or something, but I think they get it. Versus if you the worst is when somebody just leaves the chat and never even gives you a heads up. And sometimes it's the middle of war or alliance quest or battleground season, and suddenly the alliance is scrambling to replace you because you didn't communicate that you were leaving. And that's one of the nightmares of this whole thing. So this video could be 30 minutes long. I looked down. I thought I'd been speaking for about 3 minutes because I have so much to say on this. We're at over 8 minutes. And so I need to wrap this up. But in the meantime, my message to you all is, when you have good alliance mates, because it's so tough to find them, don't take them for granted and do your best to stay together as a group, even if it means playing Battlegrounds more or helping each other out with advice. Because once you lose it, it's tough to get it back. And it's true what they say. Sometimes you don't know how good you had it until it's gone.